Good morning. I wear my HCB hat today. I'm all fired up for HeartCore Business. Hey, you guys, I wanted to just stop and do a real talk with you. Often on Fridays, we'll do hot seating where you can ask me some questions. So if you've got a burning question that you're struggling with inside your business, please go ahead and just pop it on the comment section and just go ahead. Hey, Melanie Branker, how are you? So if you've got a challenging question that you're facing inside your business, then you can go ahead in the comment section and type in your question. Hey, Deanna. Hey, Alexander. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to talk to you about your goals, and do you have the right attitude to build them out? And simultaneously, while I do that, I want to hot seat some business owners, or even like personal stuff too. I want to hot seat your questions inside of the comment section. So go ahead and think about what's something that has caused you pressure, something that is causing you some pain, and go ahead and write it in the comment section, because here's what I've realized. Not usually, 9 times out of 10, when I have a feeling that is, that I'm struggling with, whether it's something inside my business, whether it's something my clients are struggling with, whether it's something I even believe inside my head, 9 times out of 10, there is somebody else that has a different perspective on the challenge that I'm facing. So for instance, often, I remember one of our clients, Amber, love her. She's still a client of ours. I remember her one year calling me up and she said, "I'm not renewing with you." And I was like, "Why? You got incredible results. That's so strange. What, did something happen?" And she goes, "Well, this is years ago." She goes, "Well, the reason why I'm not renewing with you is because myself and a couple other people feel like you're too masculine for us. And so that's kind of like an ouch, oh, really?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I built up my business, I had incredible results, but I had adrenal fatigue and I ended up in the hospital. And not that I'm blaming you, Shanda." She goes, "But I just feel like I need more of a feminine coach." And I was like, "So that's interesting." So I said, first and foremost, I take off the last week of every month. I take off weekends. I stopped working at 2:45. Other than the other night, I worked till 9 p.m., which was the first time in 5 years in my business that I did that. And I said, "Are you taking flex time?" And for you guys who know me and know me for a long time, that's flex time, the last week of the month. I don't, even if there's a lot of pressure going on inside my company, I don't feel overwhelmed because of the time off I take. And we have unlimited paid vacations inside of my company. Like my old marketing manager, when I say old, it was just a few months ago, she took off inside of a year, I think it was not even a year, 4 weeks in the year of vacation, where she was with her sister and doing things like that. And then my executive assistant right now, just went to Yellowstone, and now she's, visiting family. We have somebody else in our company that's going to Bali next week, or the week after. My point is I actually encourage this, but I can't force people to take it. So my client realized, and by the way, she's still with me today, really doing really well, over selling out her programs. And what she had to walk through was the responsibility of realizing that she wasn't taking time off and she wasn't taking flex, even though we teach it. So it's so interesting how often our perspective is we can grab onto something and we can build a story around it that actually helps us, avoid maybe showing up in the way that we could really show up. I just went to our HCL graduation, our leadership graduation last night. And, it's I didn't need to go there. It's not that division needs me or anything, but I went there because there were a couple people in the room that I love and I care about and are friends of mine. And I showed up because I get that I matter. And where the two stories merge is that when you get that you matter, it's not a to-do list to show up. It's not a bunch of energy to show up for other people or to show up and help people. It really is I get that I matter. And it comes from a pure give, which doesn't bog you down. It doesn't feel heavy to go give. When it feels heavy to go give, it's always coming from a place of somehow you feel obligated, somehow you feel guilty. Maybe there's somebody you want to save. And what happens is that bogs you down and steals your energy. And then before you know it, you're in a story of quitting, like my old entrepreneur who I love and is now a private client of mine. And so it's like her message yesterday, if I could play it on Vox, it was like, I'm having so much fun in my business. We're selling out. Like, even in the hard times, I'm still taking my flex time. She has to have creativity, like artwork and stuff in her life. And so that's one of the strategies that we have in her life, that she actually has that art time every day, no matter what's happening in the business. And that's no different than when things are happening in my life or inside my business. It's very rare. It's very rare that I don't allow something to bleed if I've got a commitment of flex time. Like I was just in Hawaii. I was also in Carmel, and there's a million things. We're in our busiest season inside of our company right now. And I still wasn't working while I was, having that flex time, my friend's birthday, my husband's half Ironman, things like that. So another piece is that you can't give with entitlement, which means that when you help somebody, you can't expect a thank you. You can't expect, not that that's a bad thing. Like I get everybody deserves a thank you, but it's like that deserve is a piece of entitlement. So when you give from a place of not needing a thank you, which I just walked through with another client who felt sad because they didn't get a thank you around something. I'm like, I didn't get a thank you helping my friend's launch. I didn't get a thank you. I didn't even make the leaderboard because, other people outperformed me, but I was a major player in helping them with some pieces of their launch. And it's like, I never got a thank you or a text message or anything. It's like, you can't give from that place. It's not, you're not doing it for that. And whether it would be nice or not, it can't knock down your love or your give because you didn't get that. So there's really these different layers of leadership that help you outperform the story that could actually have you quit or stop. What I've realized is that my stories are reoccurring stories. Your stories are reoccurring stories. And that's why we need each other, and we need each other to help coach each other to the next level. And then we have to be coachable. So my question to you is, do you have an area inside your life or your business that you're struggling, that you can go ahead and comment in the comment section right now? Tell me what that is and ask me what that question is. And then I can go ahead and coach you on that here live on Coffee with Shanda today. So hi, Daniela. How are you? Good morning, Shanda, and everyone just graduated from Vision Leadership. Woo! Thanks, Shanda Nash, for being there. It was such a surprise to us. You are welcome. Okay, you guys, go ahead and type in your question. Type in your question so I can hot seat your question about something you're struggling with, and let me unhook you from the story so that you can actually skyrocket through that next plateau inside your life and inside your business. Alexander, you said money issues of potential clients. So money issues are value issues. So when we have a money issue, we have a value issue. It's really interesting, but even when I worked in corporate America, which I love, I'm not the entrepreneur who says entrepreneurism is better than corporate America. I actually don't believe that. I think it's a vision and a calling of where you want to be and where you want to work. But when I was in corporate America and I hired teams, I still hire teams inside of HeartCore. I've never found that I stayed because of more money or that people around me stayed because of more money. Now, I do understand that the very rare person is money driven. And so there is an exception to that rule. Some people will get golden handcuffs because of the fact that the money is really important to them. But I've never found that happiness connects with money. I found that generating happiness, like either a person is a happy person or they're not. They either know how to generate happiness or they generate depression, anger, frustration, and they quit, right? So one leads you up, which is generating happiness, joy, fulfillment, which has nothing to do with your outer circumstances, unless you're getting beat or something like that. That's again an exception to the rule. But people who generate negative feelings, they're in these stories that they're going to keep generating these negative feelings no matter where they go. They're going to find themselves in the same conversation 2, 3, 4 times. Doesn't matter how good things are around them, they'll generate it. So when you look at money Money is a value conversation, and value has everything to do with that story as well. Do they generate value with, like, so this is why I often will say, people never exceed what their pay never exceeds their self-worth. And the reason why is because either they get entitled, that they feel like they earn more because they do more, which is a give to get, or they're the type of person like I am, where I will generate, I worked for a company for 6 months for free before I wrote my ticket for an incredible position inside that company. Now, I didn't set that as a strategy to give to get. I actually was just really focusing on building out this division for them, and myself. I was connected to the vision. I felt the calling. And then I was able to write my own ticket, because when I realized I wasn't getting paid, I could go back and, create a VP position for myself, which is extraordinary. I generated a story of vision, happiness, accomplishment, and that created value for me, and I stayed there. Now let's go to buying products and services. When you go to buy products and services, if your self-worth conversation inside you is like, I'm not worth the investment, then what happens is that your job is not to keep talking about the content or the offer, like everybody goes into like trying to convince. And it's not about convincing. It's actually about looking at the person and asking yourself, do you believe that they can be successful with your product, Alexandra? And if so, then you need to actually pour into them like Jesus poured into his disciples. You have to pour into him or her. You've got to pour into the person from the aspect and the perspective. Everything comes down to perspective. You need to pour into them from the perspective of actually seeing them succeed in it. So it's not about talking to them more about what it is that you're offering and why it's so good and why they should do it and convincing and pushing. It's actually looking at them going, okay, do I really believe that this person would succeed if they made an investment here? And instead of grabbing onto the money issue, which most people do, they grab onto the problem. Was it Einstein that said you can't solve a problem by holding on to the problem, right? You've got to get that perspective again. So the perspective is let go of their conversation around the money issue and look at the question on the real table, which is, do you believe that this person would be successful? And if you do, start telling them why. And when they can see that, when they can see what you see, then their value proposition goes away and they get that they're valuable, and they will find the money. They will create the money. We are so resourceful when we believe. When we don't believe, we can work really hard to solve a problem and never solve it. That's when you see people work extraordinarily hard and they're still unhappy. Okay, next question. Next question, you guys, where's your questions? Come on, tell me. If you're sitting on Coffee with Shanda and you're not sharing your questions with me, where are you struggling inside of your business or inside of your life that I can hot seat you? Is it Anna Liliana? It's such an incredible name. Okay, it's hard for me to define my market. Okay, so this is a big question. I actually have a webinar that I'm doing on this next Thursday, I think, on the 20th. So defining your market, you should really come to that webinar. I'll find the link for that registration and I'll put it in the comment section after I get off this live, okay? So defining your market, first I want to say that if you're a purpose-driven entrepreneur or a serial entrepreneur, the answer is a little bit different in a tweak, and that tweak makes all the difference in the world. So I'm going to take a purpose-driven entrepreneur because that's who typically follows me. So a purpose-driven entrepreneur, you want to work with a market. You want to work with a market or a niche of people or a tribe, whatever you want to call it. You want to work with a group of people, a market that really fires you up. So, and your market will grow that fires you up based on your emotional stability. So the stronger I get in my leadership, like analyzers used to drive me nuts. I married an analyzer, right? So analyzers, I used to really, really not like working with analyzers because they took forever to make decisions. They typically were skeptical in nature. And it drove me nuts, like especially the skeptical in nature. And an analyzer that's really healthy is not skeptical in nature. They actually ask questions, but they're not skeptical. And then if they're given two choices, or they can narrow it down to two choices, somebody on their team or somebody around them can actually help them make a decision by choosing one of the two. And so like once I learned how to handle an analyzer, like I just said, then I can still move a project forward without it getting bogged down, because I now know how to deal with an analyzer. So as your personal development grows, then your niche or your market can actually expand to personality types. I think, and I'm going to expand more on this on the webinar next week, is I have found that this whole niche game and market game that people are obsessed with, there's a million people coaching it and training it, and people are still struggling with it because they can't make a decision because you don't want to make the wrong decision. So here's how you hack that. Stop marketing to a niche or a tribe and start marketing to a character or personality. So I have a very specific character that I like to work with. I like to work with very driven individuals. I like to work with people who are very coachable. So I like to work with people who are workaholics and show them how to not be workaholics anymore. I would rather not work with someone who's like, I have body breakdown and I need to protect myself. I don't want to work with that person, because that person is hard to get them to their goals. Even if they have all the talent in the world, they can tell themselves any story they want. They are a bottleneck. They're a bottleneck in their own life. They are all consumed in their own issues. And that is very self-centered. And it drives me crazy. Today, it drives me crazy. So the reason why I like to work with workaholics is because I like to show workaholics how to not be workaholics anymore. And my strategies teach that. And it's like, I find so much fulfillment in that, because those individuals are uber driven. Like, they're uber driven. Even our new marketing director, who is also a really good friend of mine, she will work 24/7, and she loves it, right? But her breakthrough is not working 24/7. And when she does that, she's going to be even more productive, even happier, and her life will be, I don't like the word balance, but her life will be, it'll just be so much more optimized. And so I actually like that in clients. So look at Anna Liliana. Look at, when you're looking at defining your market, who's the characteristic of the person that you actually want to work with. If you start there and you start marketing to that person, then you're going to find that your tribe automatically starts to build. So for example, inside of all of our marketing, you'll hear me call people to the mat. I talk about being a pro and being an amateur. My really good friend Steve Weatherford is now talking about this online too. And it's because when I talk to him, I talk to anybody, I talk to the fact that you're either a pro or an amateur. Amateurs are always people who never quite make it to their goal. They never really quite make it to ultimate happiness. They're hard workers, they're team players, they're people who consume personal development and study, but they never quite make it there, because at the end of the day, something takes them out of the game and they become all consumed with themselves. Body breakdown, emotional instability, I overgive, all of those conversations. There's an emotional something that actually takes them out of the game along the way, and the rug gets pulled out from under them. Amazing human beings, but they never make it to their ultimate goal, right? And then, people who are pros, sometimes I call them creators. Pros are people who they set goals and they hit them no matter how they feel, right? They also study, consume information. And so it's like, I promote to the pros all the time. I promote to the amateurs who want to be pros, but the amateurs who don't want to be pros think that, like, I'm intense, right? And it's like, that's just the story they put on me. I mean, it really is the story they put on me. Like, I definitely work hard, but I don't work any harder than the amateurs who never hit their mark. You know what I mean? Like, we all work hard. It's just the difference is that I manage my mind so I don't make up a story that's about me. And so I pull those people over. Does that make sense? So you have to look at, when you're looking at your market, like, who do you really want to work with? Because I will tell you, entrepreneurship is hard. I mean, like, you lose somebody on your team and you gotta find another person, and then you've got a culture fit, or maybe you're figuring out traffic, or you're figuring out sales, or you're figuring out building a salesperson. Like, entrepreneurship is hard. So let's hope that the people you're working with are not hard, that the people you're working with actually light you up. That's the part of your life that's called doing what you love. So doing what you love doesn't mean that it doesn't come with, dealing with things that you don't love, like the logistics of growing a business. But if you are doing what you love and you're working with, an ideal client base, a niche, a market, which is really a characteristic that lights you up, you're going to find that you have more energy and bandwidth to walk through the harder times as you're growing a company. All right, you guys. So I'm going to stop there. And I just want to say, have an amazing weekend. If you've got a question that you want me to answer about your business, you can go ahead right now and post it in the comment section below. If you go ahead and do that today, I'll go through it and I'll answer your hot seat questions, and I'm happy to pour into you throughout the day. And then other than that, if you are still on Coffee with Shanda right now and you found this valuable, would you do me a favor and share this? Share this Coffee with Shanda so that other people can hear it. I haven't made an offer on it. I haven't done any of that. I just want to make sure that other entrepreneurs like you and I have the resources we need to be able to have a better day, to get through this day a little bit more powerful than we possibly did yesterday. And maybe there's something that I said that can unleash you to the next level. So at the end of the day, this world is a better place when entrepreneurs partner shoulder to shoulder to make this world a better place. So please share this Coffee with Shanda. If you're on here right now, it made a difference for you, please go ahead and be generous and share it. Otherwise, ask me your questions in the comment section, and I will go ahead and I will turn off the computer now and I will answer them. And I will also drop the link to my webinar next week in here for any of you guys who want to know more, like Ana Liliana, about your niche. I'm going to do a full training on that next Thursday. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. God bless. Have a great weekend.